By definition, the word project tells you that it is unique, and of course it needs to be handled meticulously and uniquely as required to make it successful. But there are specific aspects that you can focus on to ensure results for every single software project you manage, irrespective of the technology, people, and customer type you may have. Hi, I'm Tabish Bibikar, and I coach and mentor founders of software companies to build scale in their business fast. I've worked inside a software business myself for over 14 years, and I've been coaching and mentoring entrepreneurs for the last 8 years. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about 5 key focus areas to make every software project a success. So project management may feel pretty straightforward, common sense for someone who has been delivering software for years. But there are some aspects that I think are not very obvious and actually make or break the results. So the first thing I'd like to highlight for you is that every project has cost, quality and time. We know that, right? So every project you work on has a budget you can't exceed, a timeline that you have to stick to, and quality, of course, has to be delivered. But what most people don't realize is that one of those 3 is the key driver and will be the top one for every single project. Example, if you're working on a banking software change that needs to be delivered in line with a regulatory compliance requirement, then the deadline in this case is far more important, as there are financial implications of non-compliance to government deadlines. So it's definitely time that will be the driver here. If it's a manufacturing process related software or a healthcare related software, then the driver would definitely be quality. So while most projects will definitely have budget, timeline and quality pressures, it's not necessarily obvious upfront what the driver is very clearly. That's what you need to find out from the customer by asking some questions at the beginning. You could ask some deep dive questions like, what exactly is making you set that particular budget? Why would you need it delivered exactly on that particular date? What would happen just in case we needed a little bit more longer? What if we offer to trade in some extra features or scope that may be very useful? So what you're going to do is really try to understand the customer's perspective closely and figure out what's tradable and what's fixed with those 3 constraints of cost, quality and time. Most project managers assume that all 3 parameters are equally important, or they land up going the other extreme end, thinking all are negotiable or tradable. So that's the first thing that's not very obvious about projects. The second thing that's very important is being very clear on the specifications right from the start. It's always less painful to spend time detailing out all the specifications for your project than it is to keep the specification a little bit vague. People often think, if I keep it a little bit loose-ended, then there's going to be a little less pain later. So imagine if there's a website developer who does not take the effort to identify what all goes up front into the website. The exact number of pages, sections, dynamic content, and static, types of graphics, video content. It's set the exact number and type of call to action flows. Then what could possibly go wrong there? It's just that how much ever effort the website developer would put in, you as the customer may still be unsatisfied and not value the work. So it's definitely better to nail everything down upfront, and you will never commit anything you can't deliver. The third thing that's important is never accept a deadline on a scope of work unless you have worked out a proper plan on paper for the scope to be delivered. Create an activity breakdown and then align those activities in a proper network diagram. A network diagram takes you 15-20 minutes to create, as it's just the list of activities written on sticky notes and placed in a particular network sequence with arrows one after the other, identifying which tasks can be run in parallel and which one have dependencies on each other. The network diagram gives you the critical path or the longest path which will define the timelines. After you have the network diagram, then create a Gantt chart with the start and end dates for each activity all linked together as per the network diagram. Most people get started on creating the Gantt chart without working on the network diagram and then create a wrong plan and get challenged heavily on timelines. The fourth important thing to consider is being on budget. Isn't always a good thing. Yes, you heard it right. Being perfectly on budget doesn't really mean that all is well. In fact, you could probably have a problem at hand. If your spend is on track, but you're running behind on timelines, then it means that you haven't completed all of the work that you should have by now, but have already consumed the money meant for it. So by the time you actually complete the full scope of work, you will be over budget. The fifth and final point I'd like to highlight is around rescheduling. In the event you need to reschedule the plan for whatever reason, then do consider the analysis of the time that you have already spent on that project as your key input. You don't want to revise the completion date for the customer, which is again likely to fail. So when creating the revised software delivery plan, look at the total scope of work completed till date and the exact person day effort and calendar day schedule that you consumed to complete it. For example, if you've taken about 12 weeks to complete the first 50% of the work, then there's no way you will take 10 or 9 weeks to complete the remaining 50% of work. It's most likely going to be either 12 weeks like before or maybe even more. So build in an extra buffer so you don't have to go asking for a second round of timeline and budget extensions. If at all you manage to deliver early, the customer will be pleasantly surprised. But if you slip up again, the heat will be very high on you. It's a simple aspect to follow, but I've noticed project managers do exactly the opposite of this. If the project has slipped timelines, they ask for permission to revise the schedule and under pressure land up asking for less time than necessary to avoid customer or management backlash. But remember, the pain of asking for an extension of 14 weeks is going to be pretty much the same as asking for 12 or 10 weeks. So better get more time on your side upfront. Do work with your coach to build these strategies one by one in your business. Change your thinking, change your results. If you've liked this video, please do not forget to like and share this. Do also subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more such videos sharing tips on scaling up. Thank you for watching.